Hi, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night, Generational Change. I'm Jen. Peter will be along shortly. He is actually going to be stopping from a hotel lobby somewhere in New Orleans. But so I'm going to just take this opportunity. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. And hi, Holly Horn. Hi, all. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Travers. I see all you. Henry. But yeah, so I'm going to just take this opportunity because I don't always know exactly what he has planned. We will be speaking with Steve Sosebee in a little while. And he is the one of the co-founders of an organization called Heal Palestine, which he co-founded in January of 24. And so, I'm doing a little research, and he was actually one of the original founders of I feel completely ignorant that this is not something that I knew, but he was actually one of the original founders before that of, I think, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, like one of the really big organizations that I know was helping children in West Bank and Gaza for years. Like, this isn't new. And so this is actually his second. Yeah. Palestinian Children's Relief Fund was the first one that he founded. And I just feel so completely ignorant because that was founded so long ago. And I did not know that it was the same person. So now he has founded Heal Palestine, and they help facilitate, coordinate, and arrange for children that are in Gaza, that are wounded, that need medical treatment, to come here, and they connect them with host families. And then there's doctors that are volunteering their services to help further treat these children. And I'll show the video when he comes on, but I felt like it was really a privilege to be able to participate in that. It's not often that there's anything remotely fun in what we're dealing with. And this man has brilliantly found a way to sort of find the only joy in any of this in terms of how he serves. And it was really cool to see everybody come out to the airport for this little girl. And on the one hand, it was just so amazingly cool. But on the other hand, it felt like the whole concept that this even exists is somewhat symbolic of our failure as a species. That's like my thought about it. Like, the fact that this is even a thing is just horrible, but yet it was really nice to be around people that here, especially locally, that I'm friends with in our Muslim community, and people that are all of the people that always come out and, in our area. And apparently, and I'm very, I don't normally think Broward is that much, because normally we're pretty pathetic, but apparently Fort Lauderdale came out better than Tampa and Orlando. I'm just saying, with the recent Heal Palestine welcomes to people. So I say that playfully, but it was, there had to be, I don't know. We'll show the video. You guys will get to see it. But anyway, before he comes on, one other thing I wanted to tell you guys. So on Monday, we're going to be talking with Professor David Gibbs. And guys, please look him up. He's been doing a lot of commentary lately on a lot of shows about a lot of different things. I don't even know that I know for sure exactly what his specialty is, but what really intrigued me was an interview I had seen with him. Again, you guys know I can never remember where I see the interviews. Often it's like Democracy Now, or it could be a Chris Hedges thing. I don't know. I don't know. So the book that I want to really talk with him about that I've been reading is called Revolt of the Rich. This is really, really interesting. So it's how the politics of the 1970s widened America's class divide. And it's really not even, it's pretty short book, actually. I would say half of this is notes. Like it's so well sourced that's one of the reasons I really appreciate it. But it's about the whole period that I always knew existed when the evangelical right got in with the Republican Party, and it's the whole behind the scenes story of how the Republicans and the general conservative, fiscal conservative right use the religion and the religious base to be able to widen the base of the Republican Party. So it really talks, it's very, very interesting. And at the same time, it explains how that the 70s was the period of time where basically it's the Empire Strikes Back, right? So you had the New Deal, and people were starting to, have a nice living wage, a good way of life. People were existing. The class divide was smaller. Things were pretty decent. There was a middle class, stuff like that. And then at the nearest possible opportunity was the Empire Strikes Back. And this was the period of time when the corporatists got together and said, okay, enough with this New Deal shit. We're not with this. We need to get rid of this. And this book starts off with Nixon, and it really goes through the 70s, but it's really very interesting. So I actually am looking forward to and I'm not normally the history person. You guys normally know Peter's usually the history dork. It's not usually me, but I do find this interesting because it's giving context to something I always knew happened, but didn't quite have the history for. I actually thought it started around Reagan and the moral majority. And I'm sort of right, because there is the link with Reagan with Pat Buchanan. I don't know if there's, whichever of you other in there, Gen X and older people that know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and it goes back to Nixon's relationship with Billy Graham. So just very interesting. And it's just will be one more bit of evidence that I feel we're looking at, where so clearly the Republicans, the right, have been so much more strategic and on mission for what they've been trying to accomplish. And I really think it needs to prove to people that there is no similar mission on the left. It's not like the Democrats have a mission that they're trying to put forth. It isn't like that. So you have the Republicans that have this whole mission that they've been working on. And now we call it Project 2025 and call it the hokey pokey. So they've been working on this mission and agenda for a really long time. And if you look over the history of it, you will see that it has been continuous since this time. So it's since the early 70s, and this is the Empire Strikes Back. And we're at the end of that. So now we're getting into we're crossing over into the Return of the Jedi, hence the revolution. Yeah, I really am married to a complete Star Wars, Star Trek, comic book geek. This, guys, I was the original Penny. I would be in comic book stores with my then boyfriend back in the day when he would actually have hard copies and go buy comic books. That was me. So yeah, we're at a very interesting point where it's switching over, but I think that it's important to see the connectivity of it, because when you look at the one common denominator throughout this particular period of time, so since the New Deal, is the Democrats are not proponents of anything. They solely exist at the behest of capital to be the MIC resistance. If you like, they really have not put forward anything. Meanwhile, the Republicans, they're working away at it. They've been working it the entire time. They've done everything strategically smart. And I think that really should prove to you that they're the only game in town. There is no other side. That is the side. So yeah. Anyway, that was my sort of musing for the moment. You guys know how much I do not like sitting here and talking to myself, but hopefully Peter will be here soon. And I'm going to be prepared to introduce our guest. Hold on, somebody's calling me. Hello. No idea. Okay. I'm just going to make sure that I have all the proper, things. I need to say all the right things. I want to know what I'm talking about. I don't like to not know. So I have his information. So, guys, and by the way, there's a bunch of things that I see Peter has here for us to talk about that looks really good. This is part of the problem, is he puts stuff together and I don't always know what he does. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, all. Hi, Josie. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to get his. Okay. Wow. See, 33 years he led that organization. Like, I knew it was around for a long time. I knew it was a good organization. How is it that I did it? I feel so ignorant. Yeah, and apparently everyone else knows that, because I'm the only person that's not following him. So clearly everyone else knows but me. Yeah. That's not a proud moment for me, guys. Anyway, anywho. So apparently today I've just realized there was just recently a shooting at FSU in Tallahassee, and I really don't know the whole story yet. So if anybody else has any real insight other than 2 people dead, 6 people wounded, the usual shooting song and dance that comes along with that. Hello.
Let's hope the connection.
Welcome to the party.
Let's hope the connection stays strong. Yeah. So Jen was just informing me as I was getting settled in that apparently there was a mass shooting at Florida State University.
Well, is it considered mass? Yeah, I think it has to be. Well, it has to be 4 or more people shot is considered a mass shooting. So I guess 6 injured and 2 dead quantifies.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I was just leaving this hotel conference that I'm at. I'm actually in New Orleans, here for the first time. I will share with you guys a little bit about that, but I could just tell you that even speaking with this gentleman at the end of the event, who's a pretty successful hotel investor, he's freaking out about everything that's going on right now and how, we're heading for a recession. And I had to whisper to him, we're already in a recession. It may not be a recession for the wealthy.
Well, that's the thing. It hasn't reached them yet.
No. But is it a recession?
So that's the thing. It's working its way.
It's been a recession for the working class for several years now. So this is not a new thing. And so
when has it not been? Like, let's go back to the last time when it wasn't really crappy for regular people, where regular people weren't suffering and just like totally just having to basically beg to exist, right? Like, when was that? Because it wasn't, I remember it in my childhood, but I don't remember it much past that. Maybe up until like 90s.
Maybe.
But I can't remember when that was, when people weren't like struggling to just live.
I don't know if Steve is trying to get in or not. Do you have any additional contact info for him?
No, I do not. You are the one who does that. I forwarded, or Rachel could have sent it out. I'm sure she did it right though.
Yeah, so he may be in that Google Meet room, and so I want to make sure if he is that I, you know, no
Okay,
one
well,
says no
please,
one else is here. Says no one else.
please, if you would just stop sending the guests that. Why? Why do you do this?
I do it so that they remember.
IT's been doing this for 4 years, but you know what? You don't need to be on top of people's calendars. You just need to send them the correct link. These are grown-ups.
Well, who knows if they put it in their own calendar?
That's their business. That's their responsibility. These are professional people. For the most part, it generally works. Not everybody wants a Google thing.
All right. Well,
okay. Are we going to talk about Barbies in space?
Barbies in space.
Yeah.
What kind of a show are we having tonight? This is
I don't know, but what I'm talking about is a bunch of Barbies dressed in blue skin tight friggin' faux astronaut wear that went out into like the stratosphere for 11 minutes and came back with some performative, ridiculous nonsense where it was so obviously performative. Also, by the way, footage of Jeff Bezos doing a face plant in the dirt was friggin' hilarious. But
I would love to see that.
There was
are you talking about people like Gayle King and Katy Perry complaining about the fact that people don't consider them astronauts? You know,
they're not astronauts.
The problem is that there's, and again, I did not get that as much at this particular conference, but you know, you and I have both been around some pretty affluent people, and it's a certain type of affluent person that is just so disconnected from reality, that is so disconnected from regular people. And they really have a certain sense of egotism about them that can't be explained, that they truly see themselves as better than everybody else.
It's just they're so being exposed because I don't know if you followed the whole thing about how the thing landed and the little door opened and then someone rushed over and told them, shut the door, because it had to look like Bezos was needed to go over there with this thing and open it. So then they had them shut the door, and it's all completely caught on camera. So you see the door open, you see it close, and then you see them wait until Bezos comes and opens the door to let them out. And then that's after the fact that there was footage of him falling on his face.
I like what Josie says. I'm more of an astronaut.
And I've been on the Hulk roller coaster, and we are more of an astronaut. We are.
It's a little more risky.
Well, it's
maybe
you're going. It's a hyper coaster. Like it takes off fast. It's fierce. It's not like what was it? Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase in Spies Like Us with their faces blowing back. That's a stupid movie. You would like that. That's the kind of
I like stupid humor. That's my type of thing.
That's the kind of stupid crap my dad would like.
Big Doug with the comment of the evening and nice emoji of the Smurfs. Yes, Bezos the clown. That is extremely appropriate.
He's ridiculous. He is so ridiculous.
If you guys haven't hit the like button yet, please make sure that you do. If there is any issue, Colin, if you want to check in on Steve just to see if, you know, he may have gone to the Google Meet link and not the one that you said you sent him earlier.
And I don't know if Rachel's watching, but if you're watching, see if you can follow up and make sure.
And blame me.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that we've always said, like we should always make sure to have people's numbers, but it's hard once you first communicate with somebody via email and then
let's just make the point of doing that going forward. Like I can't tolerate this shit. And if something's wrong, then fine, but at least let us know. You know?
Travers, it's not at Busch Gardens. Hulk is at Universal in Orlando. At least it used to be. Now Orlando is like a whole different epic universe. Maybe they've relocated it. I don't know. I'm kidding.
So I think since we don't know exactly what's happening as of yet. With Steve.
For 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
And by the way, the environmental impact from what they did from their project, from what I'm gathering, is worse than like Taylor Swift's private jet for her entire Eras tour. You know, like, and so that they could all go and fly around. I wonder, honestly, can you imagine what that level of like silicone looked like floating in the stratosphere? It would be like gelatinous. That's a lot of silicone in space, man.
Honestly, I could give two shits. It's of no concern to me. It
No,
shouldn't be
but
any
what a
concern
waste.
to
But my point is that the
It is a
public
waste.
response to it has been very, uh, has not been pleasant. It's just again, it's just more of that, like where people are getting to be where they're done with let them eat cake.
Colin, if you have the clip of Gayle King on whatever frickin' morning show she's on, I think she passed by me in the Houston airport recently. Like her basically complaining about how people don't like her and this. Nobody likes you guys.
So
And
you
they
think that
shouldn't.
putting on, like getting all done up and getting all of your, like getting all done up to put on like a skin tight blue suit to go into space for 11 minutes at a waste of so much money and so bad for the environment while people can't afford to live? Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's a great look for them.
Well, I mean,
Now
you know,
all their rich friends are going to be jealous of them.
but see, then when something happens, like somebody's house getting set on fire, then the same people turn around and be like, oh my God, there's no excuse for such behavior. You
It's
know,
even more
maybe
ridiculous.
not, but I just don't know how far you think you can push people as more and more people have nothing left to lose. Like if I
We're in the
just,
hog stage. We're definitely in the hog stage now. And what I find even more incredible.
that's true. Sabby used one of our clips.
On
You see
her
what
show.
Travers does?
Oh, that's nice. I appreciate Savvy doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can drop a link to it, we would definitely check it out. We'll do a meta thing. We'll do a clip of a clip of a clip of us. That'll be fun. Speaking of a clip of a clip, one of our favorite commentators out there in the, what is it, blogosphere, stratosphere, or anything like that. Well, we're not going to jump to it just yet. Actually, we're going to finish up our
but I want to know, okay, who is it? Who did a clip of it?
So Gayle King decided to open up her stupid mouth and make this situation even worse. So here's what she had to say regarding people criticizing her and I think Katy Perry about going up into space.
What bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends.
Then get a clue.
Friends?
Then you should maybe, if your friends are saying that, you need some self-awareness. Oh my God.
These are my friends. What you mean, the people that you run into at the cocktail parties that you go to? Those are your friends?
It's so terrible.
They're so, here's the thing. If these people were friends of yours and they didn't like the fact that you went up on a penis rocket, they would tell you that in private. They would say, Gayle, I just want you to know, I really don't think that was a good look, and I don't think it's a really good idea.
Not necessarily. They could still be people that she considered friends, that they're not necessarily really tight, and they didn't, who knows what they said. It might not have been like vicious and mean. It might have just been, you know, maybe not a good look. That's what I'm saying. You're presuming they were saying horrible things. Maybe people that are her friends were simply saying, this is not, you know, because I would, you know, I mean, friends got it, you know, friends don't let friends be oblivious assholes, you know?
No, but this one was just really, really ridiculous. And I would like to say that I'm surprised that people can be this obtuse and this egotistical, but it's not. And that, like I said, right off the bat, she's like, my friends. Well, that's a reflection of the type of friends that these people keep.
And this is what I would say to that. Space is not an either or, it's a both and because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner.
Oh, and to screw up other planets and other places. Honestly. Oh my God. Yes. Let's ship our garbage into outer space. That sounds like a really good use of our reason. It's like it's getting worse and worse by the second.
No, this is almost like who would you compare this to that's like talking right now? That could only sound like such an arrogant douche canoe. I don't. I'm like trying to put my finger on like who I would think of. Like, yeah, that's something that's
just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. She's so ridiculous. And not saying And she's right that it's not an either or, as you know, that we know that tax dollars don't fund spending. And we know that just because somebody wants to fly to space doesn't mean that we can't have healthcare. We know that, Gayle. We know that. Do you know that? Like, do you know
We're
that?
making the
And do you
environment.
think, like, when was the last time you were standing up for people to have single payer healthcare? I don't know.
Does she not understand that when you blow trash, if you will, into the atmosphere, above the atmosphere and into space, does she not understand how fast that shit travels and where it could ultimately end up?
All I
Does she not
know is if
understand?
you want to send shit and garbage to space, take Bezos and all of his silicone friends and send them up there. That's really
And
sending
don't
our
come back.
trash into space. Yeah, exactly. Like in
Yeah.
Don't Look Up with
Hey,
that.
Elon, you want a good idea? The next time that Bezos tries to blast off one of his rockets, just make sure it gets directed directly to Mars. And if they don't
Or
survive the trip, that's their problem. Not
or
ours.
Elon, can we interest you in potentially trying to go down to visit the Titanic? I heard it's really good viewing down there.
Well, I'd probably do it a little differently than what the
Well, I'd love to see him try.
Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, have you been? Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number three,
Fuck
please
you,
don't
you
call it a
elitist hag. Fuck you. Have you been? No, Gayle. Most people haven't been. They haven't been. So no, they haven't had that experience. This is one of those
I
ridiculous
mean, this is
things, like the guy Murray who was saying you can't comment on Gaza unless you've been to Gaza. No, that's not how it works. I
I'm
have
not going to put up.
never flown business class abroad, but I know I would like it. I know I would like it. I can comment on that. I'd feel really confident in that. I've never done it. That was the most disgusting thing to possibly say. I just did this most elitist thing that only like a dozen people in the world get to do. So unless you've done that, get the fuck out of here.
She talks like a typical woman who lives on Park Avenue on the Upper East Side of New York City.
Oh my
That's what she
God.
sounds like. She sounds like a person who clearly has been affected by her wealth and success for the past, I don't know, how long has Gayle been around? Like 10, 12 years, I suppose, in terms of being at that level?
Well, she's always been Oprah's BFF. So she's
Well,
always,
that I didn't know. That I didn't know.
that's where she comes from. She's Oprah's best
Oh,
friend. They've
I
done
see.
so many. Oh yeah. You didn't know that's where Gayle King comes. That's the whole point.
Well, that explains a lot. I
She's
mean,
Oprah's best friend, and they've been friends for like forever. They have. And so she used to have her on the show. Like, oh yeah. I can't believe you
okay.
didn't know that. Guys, can
Well,
you believe you didn't
we
know
can see
that?
how good judge of character Oprah is in general.
Well, and the two of them for years have had to be like denying rumors that they're actually a couple, which to me, of course, I could not care less about that either way. But that's irrelevant. That's people being mean and spiteful about stuff. That's not
Yeah.
the kind of shit. You don't go after people for that. You go after them for this elitist shit.
ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much.
Oh, yes,
No
you're a
one
real
called that a
pioneer.
ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did.
Oh,
First of all,
level of
the
self-importance.
fact that she brought sexism into the conversation,
Unreal.
what level of desperation can you possibly be at? And on top of everything else, she really believes in her mind that this was something incredibly important that she did. That, well, she was sucking off Bezos the entire time. So it's not entirely surprising. I mean,
This is so repulsive to me. And to say that there was like a really broad mission, the sexism thing is absolutely ridiculous. And I would be happy to go back and pull up a clip that we've done. We probably have a few clips where we had commented on the lunacy of Bezos flying his penis into space. So I made the same clip about that ridiculous elitist ride endeavor then, and I will make it now about you.
I mean, the thing about this
Oh my
particular
God.
clip is that and we still have a little bit to go. It just gets worse.
I
It's
know.
not like
Like
it
this
started
is
bad. This is like we're not even at the top of the mountain yet. I don't know when we're supposed to come down, but at this point, she's just like, nope, nope. Let me keep going. All
she's
right, see you later.
Icarus. Fly,
Yeah,
fly, lady, fly.
And the machine that we were on, and what it took for the people to get that machine up and running, to get us up and get us back down safely. So, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this, the what it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say,
Bullshit.
wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this
Bullshit.
stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not
Bullshit.
those
Some neo-lib woman in the suburbs maybe sent you something like you go girl or whatever it is, and you feel like you're that kind of an inspiration. No, no. And this is the last thing yet one more time, I am thankful that I don't have daughters because
well,
they're
Henry,
so uninspired.
correct. Just the language that she uses, the
And yeah, it
elitist
was a ride.
language, and on top of everything else, when you start talking about how you've inspired women and young girls and stuff like that, does anybody realize how expensive it is to take this flight? The space flight, I believe, at a minimum, is a $500,000. I mean, you have to, and here's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that you may not know. I would bet my bottom dollar that Gayle did not pay for this
Of
ride.
course not. This was a publicity stunt by Bezos. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we paid for this ride.
Sure. Gets all his
How
wonderful
much of what
subsidies.
he does is subsidized? Exactly.
All right. Well, I think there's just a tad bit left. Let's see if she can end with a nice finale.
me, and how inspired they are.
No one's inspired by you, lady.
Nobody's inspired by you. And quite honestly, anybody that found that inspired is too far gone for us to even be happy about that. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's
How
absurd.
about inspiration like that, Gayle? That's real inspiration. You know,
Yeah.
like the fact that we're the only developed nation on earth that doesn't have health care, that we are effectively running a genocide through Israel onto the Palestinian people. That would be something worth commenting on, but that's not anything you'd ever comment on.
No,
And that's
no.
the real tragedy of it all.
What
And
a
the
just
more,
waste. It's such a like it's so
well,
obscene that it's
yeah. And the more that these clips come out, the more that we see this total lack of self-awareness from the highest of highs in our society. You know, Gayle King may not be the richest person. She's certainly not. But does she run in the circles of the richest people?
oh
She
yeah,
does. She does.
for sure. Otherwise
And
she wouldn't have been there.
yeah. But when I'm around multimillionaires for the past 3 days, and several of them are waving, you know, like the distress flags because they're concerned about people's ability to stay at their hotels, it's real. But people like Gayle, she don't give a shit. It
Yeah.
doesn't enter her mind.
No.
And they do
Well,
feel
I don't see
responsible.
the does anybody understand the link with Katy Perry? And then there was someone else in there that I think actually was like a science student person that actually
Mhm.
was a legitimate normal person. I don't know
But
how.
that's but again, if scrapping all of the bullshit aside,
Yeah.
like if you're really going to send people into space, even if it's for a quick trip, those are the types of people that need to be going there. Not people like Gayle King. Who in the fuck is she?
It was very important. It was a very important mission with the machine.
She's just a talking head on CBS
And
Morning
explain to
News.
me in what way Bezos's girlfriend is an asset to our space program. I like this is so stupid.
You're making a mockery of, you know, when we see how everyone complains about the way that, you know, science is denigrated and people question whether our ability to evolve as a species is being called into question every day. This is the reason. It's because of people like her. That's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, again, they keep all of these people in that class, keep just putting more and more of their ridiculous out there, whether it's Donald Trump, applauding Charles Schwab in the Oval Office for earning a couple of $1 billion, or it's Gayle saying how she was on an important mission in space. All of these things are just, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And they're not, they don't like it, but I've been saying hashtag Mangione monetary theory, because these people are they're just too far gone. They're just too far gone. They can't be reasoned with.
No, and that's why empires fall, because there isn't somebody that pulls them back from the ledge that's in that position that eventually says, yeah, we're going too far. This is not good. We really have to make a U-turn at this point. And they're not making that U-turn. And that is my concern. That should be everybody's concern, because I am watching this in real time, just as Jen is, just as you guys are. And we have to really be asking ourselves, like, how much further can people be pushed before they start doing things like what happened to Governor Shapiro the other day? We told everybody, we've been telling everybody that people are getting restless to the point at which violence is now going to become a lot more common, and no one is going to care. You hear me, Fred Guttenberg, if you're out there?
Yeah. And what I find so, interesting, it's not that this isn't really, I'm not going to say that this is what I want, but this is the natural and logical consequences of the past 10 years. So when people think that somehow I'm okay with it, no, I'm not okay with any of this. I have been so far from okay for so long at this point. Like, I am way not okay. But my solution was to vote for Bernie Sanders 10 years ago. That was my solution. Okay. I even remember having conversations with people saying, your next president is going to be Bernie or Trump. You really need to get behind Bernie. Oh no, Hillary. We got to get behind Hillary. Bernie's too crazy. And now we are where we are. So I wanted to do it the nice and easy way. No, I feel like I'm only so accountable for everybody else seeming to want to do it the hard way. Like, this is just where we are. And people can only take it so much. You can't be the most armed country in the entire world and thrive on violence with ICE agent Gestapos pulling people off streets, denying people due process, having no accountability for the rule of law whatsoever, and then being somehow so shocked and surprised when we see vigilante shit. Like that, you can't have it both ways.
And not only that, but
ridiculous.
even Henry just put it in the chat. I'm not going to pull it up, but what I will say is this: the fact that you have the Democratic Party hype machine still pumping out messaging from Hillary Clinton, that should tell you all you need to know. That if there's ever a question about who controls the narrative, the messaging and all that, it should not come as to a surprise to anybody why we're going down this path. Is everybody disconnected? No. Like I said, I've met plenty of very affluent people, and they are well aware of what's going on. But there are people that are much higher up than they are. And Bezos is at the very top. The very top. That's about as high up as it gets. And you know what happens when you surround yourself with certain types of people which are at that level? You get people like Gayle King that will literally and figuratively suck him off and convince him that he is, well, they may not tell him that he's Dr. Evil, but he certainly is Dr. Evil.
Oh, yeah. Look at this group of people. This is really how I view them. Like, in my mind, like when people are talking about them and they're in the news, like in my little head, that's what I see. This is the characters that I see dancing around. And like whenever Elon is talking, I'm picturing his helpers in Shrek helping Lord Farquaad off his legs, because his legs are fake, so he has to be lifted out of his legs.
And this is where the conversation. Think of the way that we do a podcast, guys, is like listening to a great rock album. It's supposed to tell a story. Everything should flow. And the flow of this conversation now brings us to what was and what has been in my opinion, perhaps the greatest tragedy of all when it comes to Bernie Sanders. He's doing these major rallies right now with AOC, and they're drawing a hell of a lot of people. I mean, they got something in the neighborhood of probably, I know they exaggerate the numbers, but let's just assume that they got something in the neighborhood of about 15,000 in Montana the other day. I mean, that's a big deal. You know, it's one thing to get 30,000 people in Los Angeles. It's actually not that hard. But to get that many people in Montana to show up to an event because they're concerned about the fate of our country, I would say that that's a pretty big deal. And so,
and then to do what? To usher them try to usher Republicans and independents that are disillusioned with Trump into the Democratic Party, like that's somehow going to help them?
well, why would anybody actually forget the fact that Bernie went out of his way to talk about, well, you know, I don't actually agree that much with somebody like Dick Cheney, but he's voting against Trump, so that's good enough for me. No, Bernie, no. And you were never like this. You see, this is the thing that people like, oh, Bernie was always this way. No, Bernie was not always this way.
How do we know? How do we know?
Because we know, because Bernie
I've never seen that. I'm so
excuse
angry
me.
right now, like with what just happened at that rally with Bernie. He's like dead to me. Like I am
Bernie
so
to-
disgusted with Bernie Sanders right now. I can't even see straight.
Bernie
about
with
it.
the Bernie of 2015 and 2016 is no longer around. Now, is he still there somewhere underneath it all? Maybe, but
That's useless to us. Okay, useless.
It's useless. At this point, he's not willing to do what is necessary in this moment of crisis that we're stuck in right now. And so even when he, at one time, told Rahm Emanuel to go fuck himself, I mean, that Bernie Sanders doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
It got so bad that this is what happened at that rally the other night. Brace yourselves.
London, hey, sing this shit. Put it up. Hey, bust it up. What you say?
All right, I'm not playing this clip because I don't need that stupid noise in the background,
No.
but I'll play this one.
Okay.
Like any country on earth has the right to defend itself from terror.
Bernie?
No.
Israel does not have the right to defend itself when it's committing a genocide.
Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself against people that it occupies. End of story. It is not the way it works. That is not the way it works. Israel has not had a right to defend itself since October 7th. That just doesn't exist.
The one thing that Jimmy, and I do believe he is right about, as I believe a lot of you guys are right about, is that much like I said that Bernie used to be a certain way, disposition-wise, politically, I can assure you that there is older footage of Bernie Sanders when he basically espoused very pro-Israel political positions.
Of course.
Before he was running for president. So it's not like it wasn't there. It's not like Bernie didn't have it in his DNA, that he wasn't somebody who felt that, whether because he's a Jew, that he had to defend Israel, whatever his reasoning is, it's not like he evolved to be this pro-Israel person because it's politically convenient. No, Bernie was like this well before he ran for president. But this gets even worse.
Terrorism, but it does not have the right to wage all-out war against the Palestinian people.
Yet he agreed to send the money.
Doing my best to demand not another nickel for Netanyahu's war machine.
No, it's not about Netanyahu. I'm so angry right now. I'm like at a 12 on the rage-o-meter. Bernie, it knows.
He's trying to pass the responsibility off to Netanyahu that it's his fault.
But he knows better. He knows.
Of course.
Okay.
Is Bernie Sanders
this whole
going
thing
to?
is so infuriating.
Well, is Bernie Sanders going to do what is necessary and call out the overwhelmingly substantial amount of corporate special interest money that is funneled into the Democratic Party comes from pro-Zionist contributors? Like, he's never going to
You might as well
say
take AIPAC money now. Bernie, take the money now. You might as well. You might as well take AIPAC. Like, seriously, I don't know why he doesn't.
Well, I'm not 100% certain.
This is disgusting. All right, you want to continue and show how peaceful people were treated at a Bernie rally?
And as bad as all of that is,
Now, I want people to note, yeah, they're booing security. They're
Yeah, they're not
booing
booing
at
Bernie.
taking the sign down. No, but they're not booing the sign. They're
But
booing at security taking the sign down.
now take a look, guys. Take a look
And they
very
start
closely.
chanting.
You notice something interesting here? Bernie turned
I
around.
see some good rock and roll devil horns right there, which reminds me of the 80s, which I like.
So Bernie is actually turning around and he's watching security take the flag away.
Yeah.
Bernie could easily get on the horn and say, no, listen, they have the right to free speech. They can
Yeah.
put that sign up. I don't have a problem with it.
Yep.
Didn't do it.
Wait for it though.
Okay, in America today, we have more income. In America today.
Are you really not
really,
Bernie? Like, how bad can you? How obtuse can you be?
You're gonna pivot to that now. There's no excuse for any of this. There's no excuse for any of this. Did the people get arrested? I think they got arrested. Or did they just get escorted out? Because it wasn't just that they took the sign away. The actual people got escorted out. And I don't know if they were actually arrested or not. But guys, Bernie Sanders stood there and allowed peaceful protesters holding a sign to be escorted out of his rally.
Bernie trying to talk over.
That's it.
Bernie trying to talk over the audience, trying to talk over them and suggest that, well, there's nothing to see here, folks. It's not that big of a deal. You know, the Palestinians, it's unfortunate that they have to suffer, but, you know, we've got real problems here. It's not over yet.
Ooh. I approve of the finger.
In America today,
This pleases me.
This is Montana, mind you.
Right.
This is Montana.
This is and this is as white can be in Montana. Like, I'm looking at this crowd and it's probably at like the state fairgrounds.
You know, it's absolutely incredible, but it's like the Republicans are they're the party that just has to get everything done.
That's what we're left with.
Ridiculous. So much of the Republican base, as you're now seeing, is like they're ready to just basically wipe Israel off the map. At some point, they're not going to have a choice because then they'll never win. And they force their hand. Whereas Democrats just standing there.
I'm so pleased by this. And you know what? It's embarrassing for Bernie. He should be embarrassed.
He should be. And you know what? People should never stop. Every time he goes on that stage now, trying to prep Alex to run for president, as far as I'm concerned, you better be chanting Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. I think that, and I honestly,
I would disrupt his stupid little rally for prepping Alex up. Just do it all day, every day.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to go to those rallies and do
I was going to say, I would love to see the Palestinian groups that do things absolutely show up and make that be the only thing that people hear in those rallies. Shut this shit down. Because same people, I don't remember them fighting the oligarchy when Biden was president. I don't remember them fighting the oligarchy when Obama was president. I don't remember that. I remember them just sort of kind of doing okay. They're okay. Now they're all about fighting the oligarchy while there's a genocide going on? No.
Too late.
Okay. All right, let me move on to, I know that this is a sensitive issue, something I am helping leading the effort in Congress. But I do want to say, hold it. What we have also got to focus on is the crisis facing not only the people in Gaza, but the crisis facing the working class of this country.
No, that's your way of breaking it up and dividing it. They're the same issue. Same issue.
It's not just that it's the same issue.
All
Do you guys-
connected.
but do you realize that we have only played about 2 minutes worth of footage? And Bernie, you can't give the issue of Israel-Palestine 2 minutes of your time? I understand that this is a big problem and that hold it.
No, he didn't say it's a big problem. He said it's a sensitive issue.
It's a sensitive issue. That is the equivalent of saying it's a complicated issue.
It
like
is.
every
And
other
it's a
conflict
sensitive
in Harry's
issue
day.
when you don't give a shit about Palestinian bodies. Then it's a sensitive issue because you don't want
But
to
don't
address
worry,
it.
But don't worry, Bernie
I'm
can
so
get on
disgusted.
stage with Maxwell Frost at Coachella and wring his hands to the rich kids about how we have to fight the oligarchy. 'Cause
I
that's
hope the people in this room leave there and turn around and realize, yeah, Trump might suck, but these people are not where it's at. That's what
No.
I hope happens.
What is the point of fighting back against Trump if you're going to do exactly what he's going to do regarding Israel-Palestine? He's just going to do it in a more crass and crude way that you don't like. What's the point? At least Trump's honest. You've said he's the most honest liar in all of
Ever.
politics.
Ever. Yeah.
It's true.
No excuse. No excuse, Bernie. No excuse. From start to finish, every single thing about that was disgusting. And then add that to the fact that ridiculous display at Coachella. I you know what? No. Just please. Just
It
you
really
know what?
does
Just
have to do with-
you're not helping now. Now you're part of the problem.
Joseph George, thank you so much for the $5. Xi Jinping has done more to fight the oligarchy in his sleep than Bernie has in his entire career. Well, I'll say this. What the Chinese are doing right now, particularly on social media, and basically thumbing the eyes of the American people saying, when are you going to get your fucking balls to actually stand up to your country? They are pissing in your face and telling you to drink it, and you're not doing a damn thing about it.
There's nothing we can do about it, which is why it's so glorious to watch Trump have to like walk back every single thing that he does regarding China. He is, you know what? You're
Listen,
out of your element, Donnie.
excuse me.
You're
I
out of
don't
your
look like
element,
anything.
Donnie.
I
You're
am
out of your
playing.
element.
I'm playing 4D chess, and we're going to win like we've been winning bigly, tremendously, incredibly. And believe me, we're only getting started. Do you realize it hasn't even been 100 days since I've been president? Are you tired yet? Because I'm not. We're just getting going. And as I said, much like in the Biden administration when he said the parliamentarian won't let me do it. Well, have you seen anything that's stopping Trump? I've been saying for a month now that Trump is essentially a king because he doesn't have any pushback.
No,
He can
there's
do
no
whatever
pushback.
he wants.
No.
And
you
so
can-
when everybody's throwing their hands up saying Trump this, Trump that, and all I'm saying is Trump is an inevitability of your broken system. You're lucky that Trump is not a bloodthirsty motherfucker that is just going out there and looking to kill everybody in his wake. Trump likes to do a lot of saber rattling because he knows it's a good negotiating tactic. But could you imagine if Trump was anything like Netanyahu, the type of terror that he could rain on this world with the amount, with the lack thereof of the ability to push back on his agenda? Be
Yeah, we're
thankful
watching
Trump
it.
is-
I don't
yeah,
have to imagine it. I'm watching it.
and be
It's
thankful that
it's
Trump is that
insane.
way. Mhm.
There's
It'd be so much
Gestapo
worse.
going around rounding people up and shipping them off to parts unknown. There's there's U.S. born citizen attorneys getting letters telling them that they have a certain amount of time to self-deport.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would deport to. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like if I get some sort of letter to, you know, I was thinking like, where would I get deported to? Where would I self-deport? And if it's somewhere that I could pick, it's like, don't threaten me with a good time. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to, I will give you a very good list of potential options. And I'm, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what it's like for me when I come back into the country, if it's an issue or not. I don't know what to expect.
Guys, we really appreciate any and all support that you provide to our small but mighty channel. We are growing. We're at 122 live stream viewers. Again, it takes some time, but I know that everyone is doing their part to help spread the word. For as little as $5 a month, you can go to patreon.com/generational change and become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. And in addition to that, we are growing ever so slightly, but we really appreciate all of your support. We are now over 21,000 subscribers. In fact, we are at 21,137. We have gained 818 new subscribers in the last 4 weeks.
Nice.
So we are certainly growing. And we do have a handful of new YouTube members. We have some new patrons. And of course, we do have some super chat contributors. So for those of you that are here,
you know what? If you are the reason that this guest got all out of whack, I am really I'm very frustrated about sending them the Google thing. And then if you're going to do that, you need to go in there and at least see if they're in that room. I have no idea how you can go to there.
I already went in to see if they're in that room, and he is not there.
But did you go in that room when he was supposed to come on, or like a half an hour later?
No, I went on when he was, well, again, if he had a problem, he would have sent an email. Again, I told you, he clicked that link earlier this afternoon. It's not like he completely forgot about this, or maybe something.
That's fine. I just don't want it to be that people go into the Google thing.
Yeah, I understand.
That's a stupid reason to have it messed up.
I'm sure whatever the reason. Yeah, Steve clicked on it. Actually, he clicked on it last night.
On the real link?
No, on the Google. No, he just accepted the invitation.
I just wish you wouldn't send that to them. They don't need that.
I understand that. There has to be a better way of just doing it where we can invite them, so that way they can put it in.
You could go right now and invite him.
Okay. Well, as I said, something probably did come up.
Exactly. So I don't know. But again, yeah.
I think Steve really wanted to come on the podcast. So
no, he will come. If he's not, we will have him come on. If we can. But did you realize, and I was telling people this before you came on, I feel so ignorant for not knowing this, but he was the founder of the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund like 20-something years ago. That's the same organization, if you recall, that Vosh did that huge live stream for and raised like $400,000. And I had no idea. I mean, that's been one of the forefront organizations helping children in Palestine. And I had no idea. So he started that. And then in January of 24, created Heal Palestine. So this is his second organization in this same capacity. It's amazing. I feel so ignorant for not knowing that he was the founder of that, because that's been around a long time.
Speaking of amazing, we are very, as we said before, we are very friendly with Rathbone. He is a fantastic content creator. For whatever reason, it may have taken a little while, but the Zionists, they don't really like him. And now they're starting to express their opinion about him. So here's what one of them apparently had to say regarding Rathbone.
This influencer called Rathbone, who looks like Zach Galifianakis, but is not nearly as funny.
Actually, he's very funny.
He is really funny. But yeah, he does look like Zach. I'll give him that. And he knows that, right? All right. So you're true. He does look like Zach Galifianakis. Okay.
100%.
And he's part of the not-so-exclusive post-October the 7th pile on Israel crowd. And he was interviewed by Al Jazeera, or as I prefer to call them, Al Jizz, in the sense.
Oh, that was such a burn. How did you come up with that one?
Who is this douche?
Steve Lang, I think.
December 2023. That's how he explained why he does what he does.
What you do is taking war and misery and turning it into something funny. Let's start with you, Rathbone. Why do you do it?
Well, I think, first of all, I have a spine and I understand basic moral principles, and I want to use my knowledge. I mean, even in my satirical sketches, I research them. I try to impart a lot of education and history into the conflict that I don't think you're going to get from corporate media. What's driving me? I mean, like I said, it's just having a spine and having basic moral understandings, having critical thinking, and I guess you could say just a commitment to principles.
Seems
He's
pretty
also a
simple.
teacher. I would like to point that out for people. No, we had him on our show. He's great. Why can't I remember his real name? We knew it. We have it somewhere. Like I know his real, but he actually was a teacher.
What's Rothbone's real name, guys?
Well, I forget. I mean, it's not a secret. It's not like
And I
something
take it,
that we-
yeah. Well, I take it back. This is not a gentleman. This dumbass talking here. His name is David Lang.
Okay.
And he thinks because he's British that makes him intelligent, and unfortunately it doesn't. It actually makes him even worse.
In other words, he claims he's bashing Israel because he has a strong moral compass and he wants to share his extensive knowledge. Now, this is the same guy just a few days ago. Making fun of Israelis running for shelter as rockets meant
Just running in front of
But
the
the way
Four
he went,
Seasons.
the way he yelled, "Oh, Israel, hide!" He was running.
No, the way that he ran in front of the Four Seasons, I thought was a nice touch. That's good.
to kill us rain down from the skies. And notice the Yisrael chai at the end. He's mispronounced it. It is Yisrael hi. And we're supposed to believe he's moral and educated. By the way, he captioned this video on X with "We're the chosen people," a clear reference to Jews, not Zionists. So you do the math. But isn't this almost always the case? These Israel haters are invariably amoral, ignorant, and anti-Semitic.
Well, he had to throw that anti-Semitic.
Here's my new thing with that. Like, and this is, I'm going to start, like, this is my new concept with that. When somebody says somebody's anti-Semitic or somebody calls me anti-Semitic or whatever it is, my new response is, okay, and then what? So I have no problem with people being anti-Semitic. I don't want to be the thought police. People are allowed to be anti-Semitic. People are allowed to not like Jews. People are allowed to say they don't like Jews. People are allowed to think whatever the F they want to think. So I don't care if people are anti-Semitic. I don't see how you can legislate that. And so quite honestly, labeling people anti-Semitic, I just don't care anymore. Let's assume everybody you call anti-Semitic is. Let's go with that. Stipulated, counselor. Move on. We're anti-Semites. Okay. So because we're anti-Semites, what? I'm allowed to think whatever I want. So I'm just done with that. Keep calling people anti-Semites. I just don't care.
Why don't we talk about the fact that Zionists are extremely bigoted people and that they have a very specific word in their Yiddish language when they refer to blacks? Why don't you ask them about that one?
Well, it isn't that as much as, well, here's the part that's really problematic is, and it just shows the complete and utter ignorance of Zionazis. Okay. So any Jew, first of all, anti-Semitic is an Ashkenazi Jewish created word. It comes from Europe. It comes from white people. The reason that it's an Ashkenazi white people word is that all people in the Arabic region, all of those people are Semites. Semites are Arabic peoples that are from that land. They're all Semites. The religion has nothing to do with it. And the fact that so many, again, this is one of those caucasity things. So even if you were to say somebody is an anti-Semite, you have no idea what you're even calling them. But I say that collectively, we all just sort of decide that we just don't care what people call us anymore. It doesn't matter. Okay. If wanting to free Palestine is what makes me be an anti-Semite, all right. I'm with it. I'm with it. So I'm just done. I don't care anymore. I'm so sick of people overusing that word.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy Just Jen and I for this evening. Mr. Sosebee did write us back via email. He apologized.
And what had happened?
He thought it was next Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
you want to point the... Oh, yeah, you just...
No,
so
I wanted you to vindicate yourself, and you did. So there you go. Good. Then that's not a
I
problem.
was going to compliment you on those nice sun earrings, but, I'm just going to be like, oh, I didn't even notice them. Well, Mr. Rathbone didn't take this lovely commentary sitting down. He had a nice response.
Oh, this has got to be good. Okay.
Children in the kneecaps for fun? It's just a silly game. Just a game, huh? It builds glory. And what does wearing the clothes of the dead pregnant women that you shot build? Morale. Come to think of it, you even commemorate the murder of pregnant women with shirts that have the phrase, 1 shot, 2 kills. But we're Jewish. You...
I'm sorry. Oh, he's so good.
It's so funny. It's so
Burned
funny.
journalists alive. We're looking into it. You executed medical workers and buried them in a shallow grave. But the Bible. Some were still alive. Shh, do you hear that? Sirens in Tel Aviv. This is our reality. You blew up another kindergarten. It was a training ground for terror toddlers. You take the bodies of dead children that you murdered and harvest their organs to sell on the black market.
Now that's actually true.
No, if he's saying it ridiculously, then I guarantee he has verified that it's true. He does actual real satire. So if he's saying that, then it's real because he actually does use real things. So that's disgusting, but no, not surprised.
Beneath the skin. A UN report just released proves that the IDF and Israeli settlers use systematic sexual violence against the Palestinians. Goys will be goys. Your own parliament says raping Palestinians is justifiable. Oh my God, you hate the Jews. You've bombed 7 other countries in the past year. We're the victims. Lebanon, Amalek, Syria, Amalek, Jordan, Amalek, Yemen. You don't understand. 3,000 years ago. Palestine. Yisrael Chai. Iran. When you're chosen, they let you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
You're
Yeah,
running
he
out
has
of real
zero.
estate.
He has 0 fucks to give. He doesn't care.
You're running out of real estate. You are running out of support. And you are doubling and tripling down on these efforts. The only thing that pains me is that the great humanitarian sacrifice that is being made of the Palestinian people, as painful as this is, and as painful as it is to think about, especially what they're doing to children, just know that these Palestinians are not dying in vain. The state of Israel is going to fall. This will not sustain itself. It can't sustain itself. And when libertarian hardliners like Clint Russell, CanCon, and the like are expressing we have to basically end Israel, now you're really crossing a line and a point of no return.
Yeah,
And
you're
that's-
pissing off the red team.
Yeah.
When
And
you
they're-
piss
and they
off
can
the
see it.
red team, it's a problem.
And part of the reason I thought that this was the path that it was going to head down is because you have way too many people who have supported Trump specifically because he said that the Republican Party will no longer be the party of Bush, Cheney, and the neocons, that we are not a party of endless war anymore. The Democratic Party, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, has always been the pro-war party. It took a very unique turn during the Bush-Cheney years. But if you look back in history, and I'm talking about every single post-Civil War conflict that we have been involved in that has involved ground troops of the United States, with, I think, 1, maybe 2 exceptions, it's always the Democrats that start these wars. Always. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Kosovo. This is us.
I can answer. Oh, sorry.
No, we do this. Well, not we. I shouldn't even say that. But the Democratic Party does this.
I can
Republican
answer
Party-
this.
Yeah, the Republican Party is supposed to be the anti-war party. It's generally the way that it always has been. It may not seem that way, but for most of us, keep in mind, it's 25 years later, post George W.
There is
Bush.
no anti-war party.
No. There's certain elements of anti-war, but in terms of where it stands today,
No, there's
I'm
no
only-
anti-war party. That doesn't exist.
Mhm.
David Hunter, how will Israel fall? Be specific. Well, there's a lot of variables that are going simultaneously. It's not one thing. It doesn't happen overnight. Their economy
it's
is
not going to happen overnight.
No,
but
their economy is in the toilet.
Mhm.
And by the way, as soon as we are no longer the world's dollar, the world's reserve, the world's hegemon, As soon as that goes away, and that is coming, then Israel will go with that. Because as soon as we are not the boss and the bullies of the universe, Israel will not be able to exist. It just won't. So there's that aspect. But right now, economically, they're not capable of surviving much longer. So they're going to have a whole other set of issues, both internally. They're having civil war issues. They're having a lot of problems with their own people.
Yes.
So they're having problems, I would say, politically, economically, and militarily. And they have thousands and thousands of soldiers that are leaving, that are not coming back, that are suffering from PTSD, which to me is a good sign, because the fact that people would come back from that and not suffer from PTSD means that they're psychopaths. So, I would think that anybody with any sort of non-psychopathic tendencies would have PTSD. So, but in any case, they can't sustain.
How can they possibly if they have things like this?
Exactly.
I wish the song could play. That would be even more perfect. The best part about this particular graphic from Instagram, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, guys, and I don't know how well you can see this, but that is a suntan lotion bottle SPF 500, which perhaps for people in the desert of this particular background might actually work. But even then, I'm not convinced.
Well, and what's interesting, and I don't remember where I saw it, but it was fairly recently, within the past few years, that I did hear that there have been studies indicating that the Israelis have very, very high levels of skin cancer.
There's no such thing as Israelis.
Well, they call themselves that. The
Yeah,
white
okay.
people in the desert,
That's
the
better.
white people occupying space in the desert,
If
where
you
they
want to
ought
call
not be that,
them, yeah,
they
if you
ought
want to
not
call
be
them the
that close to
Ashkenazis
the
in the desert, yeah, call
right.
them the Ashkenazis in the desert. That
They
makes more
ought
sense.
not be that close to the equator, and that's noted by their lack of melanin.
Hey, as
And
far as I'm
that is
concerned, let's
why,
get them all there.
and that is why they should be suffering from ailments like that. They're living where they ought not be. That's the thing. You're not supposed. There's a reason that the people closer to the equator are darker. There's a reason for it. We all started
Samantha,
out there. It's so not complicated.
Samantha, I can't verify one way or the other if that's true or not, but I will say this. It would not surprise me in the least if it is true.
No, because they do have huge amounts of skin cancer. So, that part
So the skin
that I
grafts that
know.
they're getting is basically from harvested bodies from all the bombing in Gaza.
Wouldn't
I
surprise me.
would believe it. Yeah.
I
Oh,
wouldn't.
even better.
Nothing about that is remotely surprising.
No, I'm not surprised either.
Oh, it was
So,
from
yeah.
the 90s.
Mhm. You can imagine how much worse it's probably right now. It's probably as bad as anything. And what I think is important that we kind of, I mean, we can't push this off. I mean, yeah, we'll have Steve on and we'll have him on again soon. But I think it's very important that we do cover this story because, Jen, on Sunday, you were at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport,
Mhm.
and there was a young lady from Gaza who was able to make it here to the States.
Young lady. She's a baby. She's 10.
Baby.
She's 10. She's a 10-year-old little girl that was able to get out of Gaza with her mother. She had her leg amputated there. I have no idea the status of her health regarding that, but she is here in the Fort Lauderdale area, and there is a doctor locally that is volunteering, and I'm trying to find out who it is because I'd really like to, know who that is.
And the name of the little girl?
Her name is Lana. Her name is Lana.
بنلاقي جديد على الطريق تسأليش وين رايحين تسأليش وين رايحين لا شكلي شكل لندن ولا شكل باريس أحلى منهم إحنا أحلى منهم في كتير شو صعب إني آخد آخر نظرة متذكر لون عيوننا قبل ما تمحيها الدمعة مش عارف كيف فاتونا هبوا من عيوننا اللمعة فتح عيونك عمري تأسف بلد مش نفسها
Who put this video together?
مش خايف أعترف قلقان علينا البلد بطل بلد
It's a good combination.
صعبان علي اتركها وانا غضبان عليها من ذنب عمري حزنان عليها وعليها اعطيني شوي هنحني وابوسها من
The sweetest were the little kids. There were little kids that were coming up to her and giving her stuffed animals and stuff. It was so sweet. And one of the little kids, I could have sworn, gave her his stuffed animal. which yeah, that was like the cutest thing I ever saw.
One more
Like-
clip to play for you guys.
Okay, where that balloon is, the bluish rabbit holding the carrot. All I could get was an Easter balloon. I'm holding that. Yeah, this was really fun. Isn't that cool, guys? Look how cool that was. And like I told you guys earlier, Fort Lauderdale, apparently, according to a very good inside source, showed up bigger than Tampa and Orlando at recent similar events. I'm in that. I'm in that picture. Yeah, there's me in the back. A lot of these women are really little. I'm sorry. And I see the top of their head. So I'm usually in the back. But that was and this is one of the things I really do want to talk to Steve about, because this is a man who has sort of cracked a code in a way to find some silver lining and create something that is the only thing that I have felt good about in any of this. And it's bittersweet because, like I said before, I mean, there's a lot more people here now, but on the one hand, it was so cool to be there and feel that love, because she was like, even other people getting off the plane, you could tell, like, could feel like it was special. And so, like, that's really cool. But then I think, on the other hand, the fact that this organization exists represents that we have failed as a species. So I'm torn on that, because think about how insane this is, that there's even an organization that has to do that. Like that's other than, like, yeah, for kids who are born with differences and stuff, like kids that are born with issues and stuff, I understand there's those organizations, but this is a failure. Am I wrong?
As I said a little earlier, I believe that this in many ways represents what has happened to the Palestinian people. It will all be in vain if the state of Israel is not dismantled. That's the only way that their deaths have meaning.
What did
And
you
so-
say to me when I sent you the picture, like the video in the first place? And I said, you would have really liked it. And what did you say to me?
What did I say?
You don't remember? Like you just felt enraged.
Oh yeah, no, I was angry. I was very upset.
You didn't feel like, oh, that's nice.
I didn't feel happy for that child. I felt like, how dare
I'm
they?
happy that she was able to get out and that she has her mother with her.
Yes, of
And
course.
that, and by the way, people, just to add to this, so she also has a father and a brother that are still in Gaza, and they could have come with them, but Israel wouldn't let them. They wouldn't let them come because they want to separate families.
That's true. And so, as Brett says, as we would say, state of Israel represents all that is wrong with Western civilization. And it is incumbent upon all of us to recognize that one of the worst genocides, not just in modern history, but in all of history, it isn't necessarily the amount of deaths. There's certainly been plenty. It's the fact that it's being done in full view of the public eye. They are doing everything in their capacity to whitewash history in real time. The fact that they have been denigrated, the fact that the lies, the endless war lies, the defense of Israel lies, and most of it being wrapped in class warfare, which is essentially everything that we have to deal with. This cannot be left unpunished. Much as I still fight to get Wasserman Schultz out of Congress, it's because these people have sinned. And Wasserman
Now
Schultz-
you're sounding like a preacher, but it's like this idea of there has to be accountability before we can move on.
It's a different type of sinning. It's one thing to tell a person sinned because they, coveted somebody's wife. No, I'm talking about sins against humanity. These people are psychopathic opportunists. And
Yes.
Wasserman Schultz is one of the very worst because she's been attached at Netanyahu's hip since she walked into Congress. So to say that I have a personal vendetta against her is an understatement. I can't focus on it now like I once did, but she has to face a reckoning one day, whether she's in office or not. Her reckoning will come. And the same will happen for Israel. This will never be forgiven, and nor will it ever be forgotten. And the only way that there is any reconciliation is the dismantlement of the Jewish state. That's the only way. We've passed the point of no return. We
Yeah.
were past the point of no return, as Jen said, by November 1st of 2023.
Well, I mean, again, it's sort of, this is all facilitating what would have been inevitable, because you cannot exist by keeping indigenous people oppressed when their numbers are as great as yours. Like that, it doesn't work. It's a lifelong existence of standing on someone's neck, and that inevitably fails. It inevitably fails. It always does. Like it's, I feel like it's one of those things where, haven't you seen the movie? If you saw the movie, you would know that it's not going to end well for the oppressor. It just
Not
doesn't.
this one.
And
This is not,
especially with what they're trying to do in terms of picking a fight with Iran. I actually am somewhat interested to see what happens with them picking a fight with Iran. I would honestly, because I think that they know, the people in charge know that that's their own death sentence. That's them basically doing the nuclear option, because Israel will cease to exist if we do that to Iran.
Well, this is why I've often said that Netanyahu is very much like Hitler in that regard, especially is sort of like a dying tornado. And if the walls close in on Netanyahu, he is going to need some type of a citizen's arrest. Some people around him are going to have to take him down, because if they don't, he's the type of person that I believe would drop a nuclear weapon. Like, I do believe he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, no, he's insane. He's psychopathic. These people are not thinking like normal people.
Well, think about it. Everything about him is fake. I mean, the guy he doesn't use his real name. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is not from Israel.
None of them are. The entire group of them. It's a whole bunch of like old white Ashkenazi men. None of them are from there. They're not from there because it's not theirs. And they don't belong there.
Yeah. And much like you can connect the dots in a very profound way regarding JFK's assassination and potentially RFK's assassination as well, there are way too many dots to be connected between Israel and 9/11. So to say that they've had a hand in a substantial amount of what it would be considered the downfall of the American empire, you could definitely lay at their feet. I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of the way that I feel. And I'm going to reveal this to you guys right now. I'm going to reveal something to you, Jen. Well, actually, I think I mentioned it to you last night, but I'm going to mention it now. So in conclusion to the conversation this evening, as few of you have known, I was at a hotel conference in New Orleans. This is my first time in the city. I'm going to lead off my New Orleans story with a happy moment. So I went to a place called Grand Isle on Fulton Street, which is a few blocks away from Bourbon Street. And this restaurant had a dish called blackened cod with Creole cream, crawfish, and spinach. This is
Are
one
you
of the.
really going to tell me your revelation has to do with this food?
I'm just sharing a nice moment of my New Orleans.
Okay, that's
because I
not the
didn't
big
have
thing you're
many.
sharing. Okay.
No, but I mean, I was strictly here for business. It's the one thing I had the chance to do was go to this nice, it was part of the setup for this event, but I was able to go to this nice restaurant and have one of the best seafood dishes I've ever had. It was absolutely delicious. And what made it even more incredible is the fact that it wasn't fried. One of the worst parts about being in the Deep South, which I'm in right now, and part of the reason why this is the most unhealthy part of the country, is because so much of the cuisine that is served, especially in Louisiana, is deep fried shit. And so the fact that this wasn't a deep fried dish, I actually felt the need to go to say a nice word to the chef. I just said, I've had a lot of food in a lot of different places. Your seafood dish it's top notch. He was very appreciative. So was the staff. If you're ever in New Orleans, please go to Grand Isle, check out that dish. They even said it's their top dish. That's what they're known for. So not surprised.
Okay, thank you for this. Thank you for the digression.
The culinary
what
suggestion.
what was the big thing you're sharing with me?
So there was a guy who came up to our booth. When I tell you that this guy was a walking, talking stereotype of the highest order, he embodied everything about what a Zionist looks like.
You told me this yesterday about this guy.
I did.
Okay.
So this guy, who will just paint the picture for you. He's bulky but chunky. He's bald. He's got glasses. He's got the goatee. He has a decent, there's not a small chest, but felt the need to unbutton a couple of his top buttons to show his nice gold Star of David chain, and comes walking up to the desk that we're at. And he, of course, couldn't have made it more obvious that he's from the North Shore of Long Island. I can only tell immediately because of his accent. I'm not going to say his name because there's no point to that. But the picture I'm going to paint for you guys is this is the one person that came up over the course of the 3 days that I encountered all types of hotel investors, entrepreneurs, etc. This guy is a hotel financier, and he wanted to brag about how much money he has to spend and how much money he's got access to. And I was there with one of my colleagues, and we had actually been talking within like the previous few minutes about what's going on in Gaza. And after he walked away from the table, he left his information, but I told her, I said, I'm not going to contact him. I would never do business with him, because I know that if I do business with a man like that, that I'm no better than anybody else, like a Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I'm just as guilty, because I'm taking blood money. I know where that fucking money comes from. And unfortunately, there are people out there who will take that money, but it's not going to be me.
Everybody, Peter wants a gold star for nobility. He wants a gold star. If you were here, I would put the gold star on your forehead. Rachel knows what I'm talking about.
It's a damn shame that they exist. I don't want to be. No, Trevor, I didn't tell him to his face. I don't need to tell him to his face.
That's the thing, Travers. That's the thing.
Don't need to. People they're just never going to hear from me. Now, somebody else will probably do business with him because he's got the money. But maybe
Zios attract Zios.
Just the fact that he was flexing, okay? Because that's what he was doing. He was flexing with that fucking Star of David around his neck. He wants you to know that he's a Zionist and that he's proud and that he's unapologetic for what they've done and what they will continue to do, because in their mind, it's justified. Well, okay. You're not going to get that with me. I'm not going to do anything to advance your message. If anything, I'm going to come on my podcast and thousands of people are going to hear. And it may actually be, it's much like Jen with Sheryl Sandberg. Jen's clip with Sheryl Sandberg is now over 10,000 views. And there are people that absolutely know that she's talking about her and that it's gotten back to her. Well, you know what? If this does a clip and it gets back to him, good. You could come right on the podcast, or you could find me wherever you want, but I am not apologizing for letting people know. And the reason I'm doing it on the podcast is because I want people to know that guys like you are out there and that no one should do business with you. You should be cast out like lepers, and no one should ever work with you ever again. Much like you get away with certain tricks in the banking trade. We don't have time to get into that now, but for anybody who knows what it's like to do banking within the Jewish community, there are certain things that they can get away with that no one else can. So when a guy comes waltzing up to the table being like, I got your money right here,
You make him sound like a wise guy instead of like
Well,
a,
that's kind of how he was flexing. That's kind of how he flexed. He wasn't a small guy. He was he was as tall as me. He was a little buff, but
what does this have to do with anything?
I'm saying that unfortunately a lot of times the Zionists look a lot like Ben Shapiro. They're more like that. They're less like this guy, but they're still the same.
Ben Shapiro.
And their intentions are they're genocidal. And so
No, these are crazy. These are crazy people. These are crazy, rabid cultist people. These are like, Manson family people.
Yeah. It wouldn't have served in any capacity for me to do it to his face.
It would serve me.
Well, sure.
It would please me.
I could. Well, here's the thing. I could just tell like this would have blown up. I could have handled myself. That's not the issue here.
Of course.
It's why do you have to be such a bitch?
Because it's just so funny to me. Sorry.
Anyway, he was clearly, like I said, anybody who comes up like that, they have to act that way. Yeah.
Instead of rabid. Can I tell you something, Travers? When I took my son, we took him rafting for the first time in a river in North Carolina when he was like 4 or whatever, and he kept asking to see the rabbits, and I didn't understand, but that's what he was talking about was the rapids.
Wanker, I can assure you, this has nothing to do with me walking away from a fight. I would not have even for a second hesitated or
No,
backed
I
down.
think Peter's waiting for an opportunity to throw down with somebody. He'll store up a lot of anger, and the wrong person will piss him off.
But this is my career. This is my livelihood. So I can't get into a scrap in the middle of a convention hall where I'm trying to, build my career and work with certain
Conducting business.
So it wouldn't have worked out. And despite Jen's smart ass mouth of hers, clearly my story had an impact. Thank you, emoji, for the $2. Have you all done a deep dive on DWS? Listen, there is no point in doing a deep dive on that story that happened 8 years ago. The only thing people need to know about Imran Awan and DWS is that Imran Awan worked for, I believe, 8 congressional members, including DWS. And the second it came out that he was basically a spy for, I want to say, Pakistan, all 7 of the 8, including Ted Deutsch, fired this man on the spot and let the Justice Department deal with him. You know who didn't fire him? Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
And it's not because she believes in due process, I can assure you. I'd love to show you Enoch. I'd love to show you Enoch. I can't. I was almost able the other day to get a picture, but he's fast for a big lizard.
Whatever your name is, D. Stel Bisson, whatever. Thank you very much for the $1.99. And of course,
thank you, little
extra medium. Thank you for the $50.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it a lot.
Contribution helps. And for those of you who are here, we really appreciate you all, even though it was just Jen and I tonight. And of course,
we had him, but at least we know it wasn't because of the Google thing.
Yes, but I will make a point.
Enoch is a lizard. He's sizable. He shares the garage. But like he's usually out now. It's not often that he's in here, but I see him outside sometimes and he's really big, but it's not easy to just snap a picture.
The reason why Wasserman Schultz is able to get away with what she gets away with, as I've said before, and I will continue to say, and people tend to forget because in politics, things, everyone has a short-term memory. Wasserman Schultz was the head of the party. She is the longest-serving DNC chair in the history of the Democratic Party. And she would have been serving for a hell of a lot longer if it wasn't for the scandal that kicked her out in 2016. That was one of the conditions of Bernie Sanders giving his support to Hillary Clinton. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was in charge of the party for over 5 years. You know what kind of skeletons that woman knows about? And let's not forget, a significant portion of the Democratic Party elected office at the federal level, a lot of those people are still there. They don't turn over. You've got real lifers in the Democratic Party. And you have a lot of people that have done things like insider trading. I mean, Eric Swalwell is a walking, talking, like crooked puppet of politics. I mean, the guy was caught having an affair with a Chinese spy, and he's still sitting in Congress. How's that possible? Well, it's much like, as I said,
Does it bother you that he was having an affair or that the spy was Chinese?
The fact that he was basically he was revealing secrets to this woman.
Right, but what does it matter whether or not he's married, they're married? Like, who cares? Like,
I don't care. I'm
so
saying,
either pick one of those things. Does it bother you that he was cheating, or does it bother you that he was with a spy?
no, it was
Which
that he
part
was with a
bothers you?
spy.
Okay, I'm
So
just
he's-
checking because you
And
pointed
it's-
both out in
and
the
first
same
of all,
sentence.
even if that were the case, even if he didn't know that he was being catfished, whatever the circumstances are, that he got caught up having an affair with a woman that clearly was not on the up and up. Let's throw all of that aside. How in the flying fuck is that man still in Congress? The only way a guy like that stays in Congress is through blackmail. There's no other way. You have a person who will now do whatever the fuck you tell him to do. Because somebody who basically reveals.
But if you know it, then how can he be being blackmailed over it if it's already public knowledge?
Because we live in a country that has a vote of no confidence. People
Right,
don't
but I
believe.
mean, he's not being blackmailed with something that we already know about.
No,
That
what I'm
doesn't make
saying
sense.
is that will be hung over his head by basically saying, you will do what we say, or we will eventually but we will eventually prosecute you as a traitor, as an accessory to espionage.
No,
No.
I don't think, because that's not the kind of thing that they give a shit about.
Apparently not.
I don't care. They don't
That's
give a
always that's the greatest fear, is how much longer it's not just the genocide, it's everything. It's this whole idea that we're living under a system that just doesn't feel real anymore. Who the hell believes in this anymore?
Right.
How could you?
No. So when
A lot
you Right. So when you live in a country that has no regard for international law, doesn't follow our own constitution, disregards due process, why in the world should anybody be law abiding? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me why you would expect people to stay in line when you are so, like, there is no law. There's no rule of law. If unmarked people can just take people off the street and ship them off under the executive branch without due process, we have no law. That's just gone.
Why not, Miranda? Why not?
Yeah.
Because there's rules for thee, not for ye.
No, it's rules for thee, not for me.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But now it's too obvious. And once it becomes obvious, coupled with the fact that we have a completely broken economic and political system, you're heading towards a revolution.
Please.
That's where
Speaking of that, should we talk a little bit about what we're trying to do?
I don't know. What are we trying to do?
We were just talking about this. So we are looking, guys, into a rebrand, and we would like to have a contest, if you will. And somebody who submits, and we were talking about, like, this could be $1,000 contest for somebody who comes up with a whole new kind of like look and brand for us that's a lot more fiery. Like, I kind of envision, instead of the "here comes the sun," like, here comes the flaming ball of fire kind of thing. No, but just, we need to be more revolutionary than we are. And so we're looking for a rebrand. So we would, yes.
A contest?
A contest. Let's have a contest. Yeah.
I was alone.
Okay. We're gonna have a contest. So, we are looking for some ideas of something to, change it up, but it's time. It's time for like a little bit of a rebrand. You like the sherbet? Those aren't sherbet colors. Come on. Purple and orange is not sherbet colors.
Yes, they are.
Purple
Yes, they
is a
most certainly
sherbet.
are. Rainbow sherbet is purple, orange, and white. Those are the three colors of rainbow sherbet.
Okay, I'm not a sherbet person, so I wouldn't know this. But in any event.
Well, Sarah had you on that one. Anyway, Joseph George, thank you so much for the $5. They at least used to bribe sizable portions of the working class. Listen, this is one of the reasons why things actually functioned a lot better when the Italian mafia had a substantial amount of handle on the unions, because it wasn't. I mean, listen, corruption's corruption, but at least there was corruption in the ranks of making sure that labor was taken care of. That doesn't exist anymore. So people are out there as desperate as can be. Technology has made us much more accepting of this. Honestly, I think this is like poison for the brain in many ways.
Oh, no, it is. And now you have a generation and a half that are dopamine addicted to social media.
Oh, yeah.
And if people don't understand how much that actually really is affecting us, it's so funny to watch the decline in real time with, Trump. They're going after the smartest people here. That's what they're doing. They're going after, because the graduate students, the people the people, foreign people that come here to study that, those are some of the brightest people in the world that are doing that. Like, this is so absurd, and going after professors and going after all this and shutting down this education program, and you're shutting down this, you're shutting it down. We are so frigging stupid already in this country. And we've talked about it so many times. Like, we already can't compete with China. Our kindergartners can't compete with China kindergartners. Like that, they are disparate from birth almost in terms of how much smarter and more educated they're making their populace. We are so fucking stupid already, and it's just getting worse and worse with how they're dumbing us down. So it's just fascinating to watch. It's fascinating to watch. But you are not going to increase any sort of productivity in our economy with the dumb people that you're producing. We compete with nobody.
No. Not anymore.
We're so ridiculous. We can't compete with the Chinese people. The Chinese people are laughing at us. Literally. Like, rightfully so. They're so much better than us in so many ways. And that's just so scary for people to understand. It doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. I'm perfectly okay with the Chinese being better. They are better.
If anything, that should be motivating us. It's not, you see, this is the difference between the way the world should work versus the way it is working right now. The fact that the Chinese are lapping us shouldn't scare us. It should be motivating us to catch up to them.
Exactly. And instead we're dumbing down further. We're cutting out more education. Oh, that'll show them. That'll show them. You'll get it back together without any educated people here, because you think you're going to bring back certain manufacturing jobs that people are going to want to go do in this country. The whole thing is so absurd. We are so far from being able to economically threaten China. We are so out of our element. They do not give a shit. We cannot exist without them. They can exist without us. And we sit there like we have some upper hand. It's like the hubris knows no bounds, because literally in live time, they're having to retract everything that they're putting out there, because every time it's like, we're going to do this. And then somebody says, yeah, well, we can't really do that. Oh, okay. We can't do that. Well, we're going to do this. We can't, because we depend on them for this. They win, move on. It's so ridiculous.
Well, we really appreciate you all being here this evening. Hopefully on Monday, we will not be in the same predicament. I doubt we will.
This is not a predicament. Most people just have shows.
That's true.
Not everybody has a guest every episode.
That's true. Well,
it's very true.
On Monday, we are scheduled to have David Gibbs. Jen, are you ready?
We're talking, you know me, copious notes. Yeah, I will definitely be ready, but definitely, guys, check him out. He's done so many. I've been seeing him on a lot of different shows recently talking about different foreign policy stuff. He's knowledgeable about a lot of different things. I think this book might be unique in his repertoire in terms of what he normally covers, but this is what I just found so interesting. And we're going to be learning about how the 70s, how the Republican Party of the 70s has transformed us into where we are now. So I was calling it before, Peter, what this book is this is The Empire Strikes Back. This is when the empire strikes back against the New Deal. This is when the rich people in the 70s said, enough of that New Deal shit. We're done with that. We got to rein all this in. We need to start making profits again. So this is the empire strikes back. Okay. And so now we are at where we need to be at Return of the Jedi.
It's truly amazing how much this country's fallen since Jack's assassination. But with that said, smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do.
See?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I have no problem with
Thank
that.
you. Asma.
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 Asma Ansari.
Asma Ansari. Lovely. Thank you. We try. We are rebranding though. I'm done with sunshine and happy crap.
Jen
I'm with
just
red
wants
pills and
blood and
revolution.
sackcloth.
I want red pills and revolution. This is ridiculous at this point.
Red pills and revolution with Peter and Jen. With Jen and Peter.
Well, something like that, but we need to change. Also, by the way, guys, just, I don't know how many of you are status quo people here, but, Jordan has been telling us for a long time that he thinks one of our issues with getting a lot of traction is that it's generational spelled with a J and that name isn't a real name and da-da-da. And for the record, it was Peter's idea. It was never mine. Like I am never that person, but I don't know if that's if that contributes to it. So we're contemplating even changing our name, which don't freak out everybody. We're the same. We have no new business partners, nothing new, nothing, anything. I feel like it's time to sort of change things around. And my level of rage is not properly represented in the slogan, transforming politics into service. That Jen is dead. That Jen died. And so we need to kind of, be moving in a different direction.
There you go. Well, it looks like Sarah agrees with you. So there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, think of something. Red pills and revolution is definitely a ballsy way to say it. But you get Miranda who says, I like the generational change name. All right. So we got some things to think about.
We'll contemplate. But in any event, regardless of what we do with our name, I definitely want to rebrand. I do. I want a different look. I want to be like a little bit more, like for me, instead of generational change, I think it should be revolutionary change. And that should be our sort of next.
That might actually be we might actually be able to change it to that revolutionary change.
And just take it to the next level. Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't have to necessarily
don't use red pill. Okay. Yeah, well, because red pill.
I just think
just the word revolution and the words red pill could actually get flagged pretty,
Well, but there's plenty of shows that have revolution in the name of it. That's not unusual to use that word. That revolution doesn't get flagged.
No.
I mean, because Jason Miles, his show is called This Is Revolution, the one that Pascal goes on and all those guys.
Yeah.
So what are you laughing at? What is so funny?
Revolutionary Whiteout Network.
Revolutionary
you guys are so
boobies.
creative.
But yeah, I think that, whether or not we change our name, we need something less sunshiny. I don't feel it anymore. So.
Yeah, I know I look extremely white right now. I need to get a little bit of sunshine.
Oh yeah, no, he's pasty.
I'm pretty white.
You are so white.
But I'm healthy. Oh yeah.
Do you like the name? You like it still being generational? I mean, we'll marinate on it, guys. But generational revolution, except for then that doesn't help us with the name problem. If that is the issue, why we don't get found as much. I mean, I don't know. Does Jordan know what he's talking about? Jordan's been telling me that for a few years, and he could be right. I don't know.
Well, it's something to look into. All right, let's get rolling. I got to get on the road. I got a long drive ahead of me. Smash that like button, share, subscribe. General strike. Not bad.
Still spelled wrong though.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Anyway.
Do all those things.
Guys, Monday we will be discussing Revolt of the Rich.
Revolt of the Rich. Thanks for everything, guys. We appreciate you all. We'll see you Monday.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.